On April 16th, we had a fire on the west side that companies from Battalion 8 and North Deputy responded to on West Indian School Road. We're going to go through and review that event with Battalion 8 and North Deputy and really look at some of the critical factors that occurred over there. The side of this event really goes back to the Charleston Super Sofa store, in which 9 firefighters were tragically killed there. This building and type of occupancy lines up almost exactly the same as the Charleston event. As we go through, Lisa and Ed are going to talk about the decision-making factors, and the company officer is going to talk about some of those task-level things that occurred on the front end of it. But pay close attention to Lisa and Ed's description of how they made the decisions, of looking at the critical fireground factors, how those factors drove the risk management plan. Through that, they came up with a strategy which changed halfway from offensive to defensive, which really drove their incident action plan to get their tactical objectives accomplished.
Fire Department, what's your address?
2730 West Indian School Road.
Say it slower.
2730 West Indian School Road.
West Indian School. Is that a house or an apartment?
It's a business.
What's the name of the business?
Quality Furniture.
Okay, why are you yelling? Can you just tell me? I can't hear you.
Because it's a big fire.
Okay, what's on fire?
The whole entire building.
Okay, is everybody out of the building?
No, we have dogs and everything.
Do you have what?
Dogs. We're dogs.
Okay, are the people out of the building?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of business is it again?
A building.
A what?
A building.
A building?
It says Quality Furniture in it.
Okay, I can't, I'm sorry, I've got people coming, but I can't understand you, okay?
Okay, it says Quality Furniture in it. It's in the building.
Okay, if we've got people coming, okay? Hold on.
Okay, thank you.
Engine 10, Battalion 8, Engine 918, Engine 18, Rescue 918, Ladder 26, Battalion 1, Squad 44, Channel 2, Structure Fire, 7230 West Indian School Road, Engine 10, Battalion 8, Engine 918, Engine 18, Rescue 918, Ladder 26, Battalion 1, Squad 44, Channel 2.
This was the Quality Furniture Store fire that occurred at 3:30 in the morning on April 16th, 2009. Some of the challenges of that fire were the occupancy, the fire load of the structure, the arrangement of the building, the time of day, the close proximity of exposures on the west side, and the fact that the MCTs were down at 3:30 in the morning for maintenance. All of those conspired to make a challenging front end on this fire.
I was on Engine 18 that morning when we were dispatched. We were heading south on 27th Avenue to Indian School. And en route, the smoke was hanging low and sprawled out over a wide span area. I wasn't 100% convinced that it was that building, or maybe in a dumpster behind the building that was on fire. So we got on the scene, and then the front door was propped open, and I saw 2 people running out with dogs. And then female came to me after I cleared alarm with panic. So I opened the door to hear what she had to say, and she mentioned that she had dogs inside. So I shut my door, did my own scene report.
We're on scene of a single-story furniture shop. We have smoke showing. We're going to hand jack the water supply. We're pulling our hand line to go interior for search, rescue, fire control. I'm going to go ahead and send Indian School Command. We're going to be the offensive strategy.
As we left the station, we could see a really large smoke plume and knew that we had a large working fire. We pulled up and heard 18s on the scene report, and they gave us the order to take another hand line to meet them in the interior.
Command 918. So, you lay at the water supply at the pump 18. Copy that. Command Engine 918. Go ahead. Let's suppose a second hand line as well, so I'm going to assist with fire control. Copy that. We're going to swing into you and then pull line on some trucks. Just the fire control.
the conditions on the front of the store when we arrived was a little bit of smoke coming out the front door, and the door was propped open. So we pulled a 200-foot line, and we went through the front door. It was a nice aisle all the way back to from the showroom all the way back to the storeroom. And when I got off, she's going back into the building, and I go grab her. I said, "Where's this fire at?" She goes, "In the back of the building." I said, "All right, get out of here."
I was the last person to the door, and as I went in, I noticed one of Engine 18's firefighters bringing out a female with a bag full of puppies. But as soon as she let that gal go, the gal was determined to go back into the building. So I kept her from going in and explained to her that I needed her to go away from this door and away from the fire scene to stay safe. But she was really tempted to go back in. And then as I attempted to go back in for the second time, a male came out of there. And at this point, I was wondering how many people we still had left inside, because they were not giving us very good information. They were very distracted by all the goings-on by the animals they had left in the building. Once I made it to the interior, I turned on a tick camera that I brought with me, and I was able to see down the aisle where the hose lines had gone, and was able to meet with my crew quickly and found Jared on 18. And once we got inside, I could see real well as far as where the furniture was, where our hose lines were, where our crews were, but we were unable to find any fire. As we made our way back, and they'd already breached through a fire door, we were still making our way in there, just weren't able to. We had high heat and a lot of smoke, and as far as being able to move around, that was really easy, but as far as getting to anywhere where we had a good position to fight fire from, we just couldn't find the fire.
We got on scene, and I assumed command from Engine 18, made him interior, told him that he had himself and Engine 918, I was going to make him interior sector. At that time, like I said, I knew, in looking at the building, there was a very large thrift store to the west that was probably 2 to 3 feet from the involved occupancy. So I knew that we had an exposure there, and then on the east side was a real narrow driveway and a liquor store that really wasn't much of an exposure, but the narrow driveway didn't look like we could get any companies down that side. So after I had assumed command from the initial companies, I then had I had Engine 10 report on scene. I had them come up and assume on deck. Now, in the meantime, we had a couple people that were occupants of this furniture store. Apparently they were living in the furniture store, and they kept running back in and into the fire occupancy trying to save some dogs. So we were having to deal with that issue. We were also having to deal with the issue of our MCTs were down, so we couldn't get much information from our MCTs. But the reports that I got from the interior companies was that when they initially got in there, the visibility was pretty good. There was no heat, but as they got deeper into the building, they started experiencing heavier smoke conditions and some increased heat. When we were in the battalion rig, and Doug and I, like I said, we had a very good position. We could see the entire building, and we were looking at this building, and both of us were thinking the exact same thing, that this, and we actually talked about it, that this is the sofa factory. This is the fire that we reviewed where they lost 9 firefighters in a sofa factory. They lost 9 firefighters because they got way deep into the building, and there was a heavy fire load, and we thought, geez, this is the sofa factory, and we need to, you know, it kind of made us think that as soon as we get an all clear and we get these people out of here, we're going to make one stab at it, and if they can get it, if not, we're going to go defensive, because it's just not worth it.
So now we advancing the hose line, open up the nozzle, and again, we're not changing the fire one iota. I was getting concerned because we've been in there a long time. We're pretty deep in this building, and I asked for another line being deployed, and Chief Clinchy was already on that. I asked for the rear of the building being softened, and Chief Clinchy was already on that as well. And then I heard Larry Kendrick on Ladder 26. He gave a good roof report.
Once we got on top of the building, it was a flat roof, pretty large. We had probably 4 big AC units on it, probably 6 of the whirlybirds, and everything had quite a bit of heavy pressure dark smoke coming out of it. Whirlybirds were spinning. So we got up there, we started sounding the roof. We made it over to towards the middle. We started making our first cut. About halfway through our cut, our chain had came off the saw. So we actually had 2 saws up there, so we got our circular saw out. finished our cut. Once we pulled everything out of the way, we had a lot of heavy, dark pressure smoke coming out of the vent hole. At that time, we decided we were going to move down the roof and cut another hole due to the size of the building. And when we started that, our sounder started sounding the roof, and we started having the pipe pull go through the roof. So he turned around, came to me, we did a face-to-face and said, hey, our pipe pull's starting to go through the roof. At that time, we decided, you know, it's probably unsafe roof. We gave that report back to command and let them know that this roof was unsafe, that we're probably going to go ahead and exit the roof.
Command. Go ahead, roof. We got one whole cut. We've got a couple spots where the roof is not tenable, and we're really come off the hill, come off the roof. It seems like there's some soft spots up there where our pipe pole and stuff is starting to go through.
Command, copy. Exit the roof. Let me know when you have when you're off and you have a car.
And then I hear Battalion 1 Chief Huff give a report of the back half has 2 stories on it. And now I'm thinking, geez, because that's where the fire's at. It's up on the 2nd story. And it's a heck of a fire if it's chugging out that much smoke and that much heat that we're feeling that intense. So just after that, we reached the base of the stairwell, and then I thought to myself, we're not going to go up here because we've been on air for 13, 14 minutes. We're just about to the end of our 150-foot rule, if not at the end of the 150-foot rule in this building, and we're not. I don't know if our line could even make it up there what we had left.
The communications through this whole fire, this whole incident, were just excellent. I got clear, concise reports from everybody. Everybody kind of stayed calm. They talked on the radio. You could understand what they were saying. So the communications on this incident were very good. But after I got the report from roof sector that the roof was untenable, in combination with the reports from interior that it was very hot, they had not found the fire yet, I knew that they had gotten pretty deep into that building as far as one line, as far as the 150 feet would allow them. I knew they had gone that far, and I knew they'd been on air for quite a while. We had already mitigated the life safety issue because we had gotten the 2 occupants that were going back in. We got them out, and they were clear of the building. And I knew we weren't making an effect on this fire, so I knew that it was time to go defensive.
Commando on. Go ahead. Give me emergency traffic. All crews on a fire ground. This is going to be a defensive fire. We're going to go defensive. We need to exit the building.
And at that point, we had several different supply lines, and I started setting up ladder pipes. We had ladder pipes, and we kind of lucked out because we had really good access around the entire building. We had ladder pipes set up with at least 2 lines to every ladder, pumped hydrants on all 4 corners of that building. We saved, there was just some slight damage to the thrift store to the west. Some of the roofing on the northeast corner had burned a little bit, but we saved that entire structure to the west from any damage. So all in all, you know, it was a really safe operation. When we went defensive, and talking to the crews that were interior after the fire, it was really comforting to me to know that they were on the same page. They knew they were in there. They were in there pretty deep. They knew they weren't making an effect on the fire. They hadn't found the fire yet, and they knew that it was time to get out because they weren't making a difference. They weren't changing the conditions. So it was good to know that we were all on the same page as far as changing our strategies from offensive to defensive.
I'm sure that you recognize the 5-step process to making decisions on the fire ground and keeping us out of that condition where we have firefighters in offensive positions under defensive conditions. Again, the 5-step process is very simple. It's the quick evaluation of the critical fireground factors, and in this case is that they did that early on, and they did that continuously through the video. If you remember, there was a point in there where the roof sector officer was saying that the roof is not tenable for us. He relayed that information back to the incident commander. Decisions were made based on that, as well as the reports that she was getting from the interior crews that they were not making any progress on the fire. So clearly those critical fireground factors, balanced with the risk management profile in which she knew that she already had all of the people out of the structure, led her to a strategy change of defensive to defensive, is that we're going to pull everybody out. This fire is too big, it's too complex, it's too far inside. We're going to pull everybody out. It's too dangerous for firefighters to be inside the structure, which was a perfect call for that time. Based on that, she reevaluated and set up a defensive incident action plan, just like we say in the 5-step process, and the tactical priorities became just defending and keeping the fire from spreading to other structures. This was a standard outcome. This fire was deep-seated. We were able to get everybody out. We learned a lot of lessons from the things that happened at the Super Sofa Store factory fire in Charleston. We were able to combine those lessons into the things that we do with this decision-making model. All in all of the operations seemed to work very well. It was a safe operation. We made an attempt to get to the fire. We simply couldn't do it in a safe manner, and it was a standard outcome.